Recently, we stayed on the RMS Queen Mary, and it was really fascinating to see my grandson open an actual porthole in our room. There was no screen, and it opened to let in the fresh air at the Port of Long Beach. It was exciting to see that they still had that original feature on a ship, even though the ship was now air conditioned and was a stationary hotel. Hi, it's Kimberly from Kimberly Cruises. Let's talk portholes. A porthole is also known as a bullseye window. It was a hole in the ship that allowed in air, light, and sometimes a nice view. When closed, the porthole was watertight and weathertight. Do you know what a porthole is now called? It's called a side scuttle, which is basically a side hole in the ship. Portholes never meant just the port side of the ship. The name porthole comes from the French word port, which means door. As with most things in history, it goes back to a king or a purpose for war. For this, it's both. King Henry VII of England wanted his guns that were way too large for his ships. Of course, the people who don't actually use the equipment usually dictate the specifications. Nothing has changed. So instead of tacking the guns on the forecastle and aft castle, they punched some holes in the ship to fit the cannons. When they ran into rough seas, they would simply pull in the guns and cover the holes. Brilliant idea. Although I'm not sure the extra weight of the cannons was such a good idea, but that's for another story. And as with a lot of maritime history, we have the Titanic disaster to thank for stricter regulations and standardization, big word, on the design and placement of portholes. For those of us who travel on modern cruise ships, we may notice that if we have what's called a porthole room, the actual porthole doesn't open. It's just a big triple glazed window. The reasoning behind that could obviously be air conditioning, but then there is also air conditioning in balcony rooms. When you open your balcony room door, they recommend you turn off your air. As a matter of fact, there is usually a sticker on the door asking you to do that, and also close the door when you're not in the room. That's a twofold problem if you know what happens when you leave your balcony room door open and try to open your cabin door. It's a hard lesson in physics. The porthole rooms are a bit closer to the water line than a balcony room. Logically, I think the lack of opening portholes is about the fact that they don't want all that water pouring in to the cruise ship in a raging storm if someone accidentally leaves their porthole open. Most cruisers are not as savvy as full-time sailors, and I could only imagine several of us leaving our rooms for dinner with the portholes wide open without a thought about it. I'm grateful for the exchange of portholes for air conditioning. If I really wanted some fresh air, I can go on deck or get a balcony room. Some things just change for the better as time goes on. Thanks for watching to the end. A like and a subscribe is always welcome. Leave a comment or question about something you've been wanting to know about cruising.